Hello everybody out there, and welcome back here with the future once again to another retro showcase and review. And today we are going to look at a mint on card action figure from 1997. That would be 21 years ago when this figure dropped, and it is the 1997 Fright site Mummies Alive Ja-Kal figure that was based on the Mummies Alive TV animated series that ran on the Deke network and was produced by Deke Entertainment and Northern Lights Entertainment, and it originally aired for one season in 1997. And to coincide with the series, Hasbro, and they also released figures under the Kenner name as well, and these were released under the Kenner banner, produced a series of 5-inch tall action figures and vehicles. And there was also a second wave of these figures released, but they were only released in some parts of Europe, so they are very hard to get a hold of on the secondhand market. And in the U.S., they did not see release. So sadly, we didn't get the second wave, but we did get the first wave. So I was able to score this Fright site version of Ja-Kal. Some of the figures are pretty pricey on online auctions and marketing. So yeah, beware of that if you want to go out and try to collect these figures, because this will probably be the only Mummies Alive figure I get, because I got them for pretty cheap compared to the other figures that were being sold. Even the ones that were the same figure loose in the package were cheaper than the one I got up mint on card. So somebody just threw this one up there not really knowing, I think. But I was able to pick them up. Fright site Ja-Kal, the leader of the Mummy Warriors, that we'll get more into that here in a second. And me being a big fan of ancient Egyptian history, and I love the pyramids of Giza and mummies and all that kind of stuff, so it was right up my alley, the Mummies Alive TV series. I was 15 years old at that time in 1997, really only collecting the WWF Jakks figures at the time. Along with my brother, I wasn't really into collecting any other lines, but I do remember watching the Mummies Alive series when it was on, and I thought it was really cool what I saw of it. And sadly, it only ran, one season, and we only got one wave of figures, and I wasn't really collecting figures at the time. So now that I'm an adult collector, I was able to go back and pick me up a figure from 1997, the Fright site Ja-Kal. So I have a figure in my collection of Mummies Alive mint on card now, so that's pretty cool. And I figured this is definitely worthy of a retro showcase and review. So yeah, I want to thank everybody who subscribed lately, dropped any comments, given me any feedback, left any likes. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time viewing, make sure you do all that I just mentioned. And yeah, now let's take a look at the 1997 Mummies Alive Fright site Ja-Kal action figure produced by Hasbro under the Kenner label. Let's check it out. Okay, so here is the figure in all its glory, and we'll take a closer look at him. But right now, I have these little ancient Egyptian figures here, next to the packaging for a little, flavor of the, ancient Egyptian vibe there. I thought it looked really cool next to the packaging here, too, because the packaging is made in the shape of like a wrapped mummy here, with its arms crossed like a sarcophagus. And the packaging even, looks like a tomb or sarcophagus, which you call that right there. It kind of looks like that, like they got them in a tomb. So I think the packaging is really cool on this. And this is even a feature package. So having a feature package from a 1997 figure is pretty cool. So we'll show you here in a bit, but you can reach in there and trigger his action feature that he has there. And it says there that the Fright site Ja-Kal with pop-out eyes and dropping jaw action. So it really reminds me of the Kenner Beetlejuice action features. I don't know if it was actually used in the Kenner Beetlejuice line. I never seen anything with that, but Kenner, they like to reuse things with Kenner, so it very well could be, but this is when Hasbro took over. I don't know if they reused features from old figures from Kenner at this time or not. Should have done a little bit more research, but I kind of forgot about that actually when I was researching the figure in the show. And here is some on the show, because I know a lot of people are probably like, what is Mummies Alive? And Mummies Alive was actually, like I said, a animated Canadian-American animated series from Deke Entertainment and Northern Lights Entertainment that originally aired for one season in 97. And like I said, they released this line of 5-inch action figures, which we'll see more on the back from Series 1 here. But yeah, it took place in present-day U.S., and the young kid, Presley Carnarvon, releases 4 ancient mummy warriors who help him fight a revived Egyptian evil mummy sorcerer Scarabus, or Scarab, I think is his name, who wants to take over the world by capturing the spirit of Rapses to become immortal. And the young boy, Presley Carnarvon, is actually entombed with the spirit of Rapses within him. So he has the spirit of Rapses. He has like reincarnated with his spirit or whatever. I don't know the entire story on that one there, but yeah, he has the spirit of Rapses inside of him, and Rapses is the man that Scarab killed back in the ancient Egypt days. He was trying to become immortal, and yeah, he was put to death for his crimes and was revived in the reviving by accidentally to show up in the modern day America. And yeah, it shows at the very beginning of the first episode that I went back and watched, where the explorers or whatever go inside of the tomb and accidentally release Scarab. So then the young boy releases 4 mummies to help him in the fight. And the leader of the evil mummy warriors was none other than Ja-Kal here. And this is his like pedestrian gear here that he wore when he wasn't in his Egyptian, you know, warrior gear, which was really cool looking, which you'll see more on the back here. Some of them are dressed in their Egyptian warrior armor. And here's a little bit more. The mummy warriors awake from the dead to protect Presley. They use a power of Ra to transform into powerful guardians. Each mummy is aligned with the power of an ancient god, and Ja-Kal here was the leader, and he used the spirit of the falcon. The mummy Wrath used snake. Armon used the ram, and Nefer-Tina used the cat. And they are able to call upon for magical armors and powers to fight superhuman evildoers. Although once their strength is exhausted, they must rest in their sarcophagi to regain the ability in order to access these powers. The numbers call out the phrase, the mummies actually call out the phrase, with the strength of Ra. So they had their own little chant there, kind of like, I have the power, or, you know, anything else. They had, with the strength of Ra. So it kind of reminds me of that He-Man vibe there that they used. And, yeah, and it triggered their transformation by using that with the strength of Ra chant or call out that they would use. And they also have the power to make a horrifying face, which usually was used to scare away nosy bystanders or just frighten them. And I think that's what has to do with this Fright Sight feature here. It's part of their horrifying face power that they get from calling on the power of Ra. So, very sweet. There's a little bit of a background synopsis on the Mummies Alive, excuse me. But now let's get into the packaging here and get a closer look here at the Fright Sight Ja-Kal. And like I said, very cool packaging for '97. This is when like Jakks was releasing action figures, and the detail on these figures was really good for '97 as well, in my opinion. I really like them. The detail and the molding and the paint and everything looks really crisp on this figure. And you can see he has his mummy wrapped hands and his mummy face there. And he's in his, you know, pedestrian garb, which tries to, you know, blend him into the society when he's not in his power of Ra mode. But let's check this out. You can see there, you push the arm in, and it pops the face out. And you can see this reminds me of something from the Beetlejuice line. I don't know if they ever use this again or before, but it's got the, you know, teeth down there. Reminds me of something from that, but I might just be, you know, imagining things. But look how the eyes pop out on it. I know the real Ghostbusters line had, it might be a real Ghostbusters figure that used this kind of a feature that reminds me of. But you gotta love that. So Ja-Kal, I love it. So you gotta love the feature there, the action feature, the Fright Sight feature. But other than that, I'm keeping him mint on card. You can see he's strapped in there good. So he's not going anywhere. And I really love the Mummies Alive logo here. They did an outstanding job, whoever did this logo. because that just draws any kid right in. You seen this packaging back then, you'd be like, wow, that's a cool figure line, you know. Although they didn't do much more illustrations, but you can see that it looks like Mummy with his arms crossed there, a sarcophagi kind of look to it. And on the back here, oh, also you seen it said ages 4 and up there, and you seen down to the bottom, and it's got a yellow border here as well, which, you know, ties into the yellow Fright site stamp there to the left of the Mummies Alive logo. So on the back here, up top you have a little bit of a write-up, but above there you have the Mummies Alive logo once again. It's like a, you know, shadowed silhouette of a mummy on the back here, on the outside of the border. And then, like I said, the like tomb-like packaging, or sarcophagi type packaging, with the mummy wraps around it, and you can see there on the bottom, $15 this was, whoever picked it up before. But you can see here, Kenner, 1997 Hasbro. It was when Hasbro took over, as I said, but they were still releasing figures in 97 under the Kenner brand. I think they should still use the Kenner brand to this day. They do use it on, you know, some reissues of Star Wars and stuff, like the vintage collection, but bring back Kenner as an actual brand would be cool. But here's the other figures that you get from the line, and man, were these really sweet. Look for the entire Mummies Alive collection. But first, let's check out the write-up here that they have on Fright Site Ja-Kal. It says, Fright Site Ja-Kal, leader of the team of mummies, uses the unique magical action of his Fright Site powers in order to confound evil demons and sorcerers. Fright Site Ja-Kal's powers enable him to instantaneously reveal his ancient mummy face, including pop-out eyes and a dropping jaw. And there's a picture of him with his feature enabled. There's the cool Mummies Alive logo. But let's take a look at these other figures here. You had the other mummy warriors and also the evil sorcerer Scarab there to the right. You had evil shoddy trooper, which was a trooper of Scarab. And then you had Hunter Ja-Kal, Wizard Wrath, and Fighting Armon. And then you had Fright Site Ja-Kal and a Fright Site Wrath, the only 2 Fright Site figures made. So I might have to find Wrath, and I have the whole collection. Then you had the Nihilator. It's called the Nihilator, like the Nile River. The Nihilator Jet Cycle. And they had the Hot Raw and the Skycophagus. So very cool little tie-ins on the names there as well, in my opinion, as they gave them some names that tied into ancient Egyptian history and ancient Egyptian, you know, artifacts, whatever. And it says figures sold separately above. Very, very cool figure line, in my opinion, as you can see there. That's them in their mummy form. I'd like to get one in their mummy form. But, you know, having a figure period was my goal. So I could do a showcase and review, a retro one on this line, because I love this line. But yeah, other than that, there's not much more to say on old Fright Site Ja-Kal here and the Mummies Alive. All I have to say is that it is a great line to get out there and collect if you don't know about it. Now you do. So get out there and try to find yourself some Mummies Alive action figures, because they are very, very awesome. And now I'll put Ja-Kal back here in the middle here. And I'm going to have to say thank you to everybody who has checked this out. And I hope you enjoyed the look at the 1997 Kenner Fright Site Mummies Alive Ja-Kal action figure. And yeah, till next time, guys. Thanks for watching. And as always, peace out.